Hello and welcome back to Scout Report, where with Harry Kane's future at Spurs looking increasingly uncertain, we have decided to profile 3 players who could potentially replace him. Of course, the Lily Whites have made it perfectly clear that they have no intention of selling their talisman, who contributed a ridiculous 37 goals in 35 league games last season, winning his 3rd Golden Boot, one short of Thierry Henry's record. But with the academy graduate openly admitting his desire to leave, we suggest Nuno's side might as well begin making inquiries over a potential replacement. Their fanbase got excited over the weekend when the club's bid for Lautaro Martinez became public knowledge. But with Romelu Lukaku's return to Chelsea now confirmed, Inter have made it perfectly clear that the Argentinian is going nowhere, a sentiment backed up by his agent, so it's back to the drawing board. Unfortunately, with only UEFA Conference League football on offer and a manager at his first major club, Spurs aren't in the strongest position in terms of attracting world-class talent. So we have tried to profile 3 achievable targets at varying price points. Let's get started. The cheap option. What's perfectly clear is that unlike when Liverpool lost Coutinho and reinvested that money in the likes of Van Dijk, Alisson and Fabinho in the next 2 windows and began challenging for major titles, Spurs aren't in that position. The club finished 7th last season, their lowest placing since 2008-09, with 62 points, 8 points fewer than in any of Pochettino's final 4 campaigns at the club. And that was despite Kane putting in one of the all-time great Premier League campaigns, with his 37 league goal contributions only topped 4 times in the last 16 completed seasons. In order to address the squad's other weaknesses and replace some of Kane's output, Spurs could look to sign a player for around €30 million. Having missed out on the likes of Myron Boadu, Andre Silva, Patson Daka and most recently Danny Ings, the options in this price range are fairly limited. But one player they could look at is 23-year-old Celtic striker Odsonne Edouard, who is reportedly being chased by Brighton and Southampton. A Hoops player since August 2017, Edouard has gone on to score 74 goals in 142 matches, helping his side to 3 Premiership titles and 2 consecutive domestic trebles. But having refused to sign an extension to his current deal, which expires in 2022, Celtic's hierarchy are believed to be resigned to losing him for as little as €23 million, the equivalent of £20 million. Why Edouard? Well, unlike a lot of top-level players who would be available for this price point, Edouard's adaptation to English football shouldn't be as severe. Alongside his 4 seasons of Scottish Premiership football, the former French under-21 international has made 17 Europa League appearances over the last 3 years, scoring 7 and assisting 2. Even in 2020-21, a challenging year for the club which saw Neil Lennon fired, the club fall out with the Scottish Government, and their closest rivals go unbeaten, Edouard contributed 18 goals and 4 assists in 26 league games, finishing as top scorer for the 2nd consecutive year. His average of a goal contribution every 106 minutes last term compares well to Mo Salah's 114 minutes in 2021, albeit against weaker opposition. His record of 0.66 goals and assists minus penalties per 90 last campaign, whilst inferior to Kane's otherworldly 0.96 in 2021, bettered the Englishman's tally from the previous 2 seasons. But what makes Edouard even more exciting is the fact that he, like Kane, isn't a pure goalscorer. Last season saw Kane create 1.4 chances per 90, his best tally since 2016-17, as he showed he was equally comfortable dropping in to make space for runners in behind, normally Son. Whilst Edouard lacked a partner with anywhere near the dynamism of the South Korean, he still averaged 1.2 key passes per 90, a figure only topped by Kane out of all Premier League strikers. What's clear is that at his price, Spurs could have signed him at any point in the last 18 months, and we suspect the reason why they haven't is due to concerns over his ability to instantly replace Kane's phenomenal output. If Levy was to beat Brighton to the Frenchman's signature, something that looks incredibly unlikely, we suggest he complements his arrival with a goal-scoring right winger. Step forward Domenico Berardi. Linked tentatively with Leicester and Liverpool throughout the summer, on the back of an impressive Euro 2020, the Sassuolo man has been carrying the Nero Verde for a number of years. 2020-21 saw him contribute 17 goals and 7 assists in just 30 league appearances, with Messi, Salah and Insigne the only conventional wingers to score more in Europe's top 5 leagues. Available for just €40 million, if Spurs spent €63 million on bringing in Edouard and Berardi to pair with Heung-min Son on the left, they would be in good stead to challenge for European football again next campaign. The medium option. With Chelsea highly unlikely to sell Tammy Abraham to their London rivals and the Englishman reportedly more likely to join Roma, Fabio Paratici should use his extensive Italian connections to make inquiries over Fiorentina's Dušan Vlahović. After a slow start in Florence, the 6'3" Serbian exploded into life in December 2020, netting 20 goals in the final 26 league games of the season to finish with 21 overall, the fourth highest of any Serie A player. Given his powerful frame, it's no surprise to see that he wins 44% of his aerial duels, 3% more than Harry Kane. And whilst Nuno's Wolves obviously didn't have the same quality as Spurs, playing the ball long into the channels was a key part of their game plan, with only Burnley completing more than their 29.7 long balls per game, meaning Vlahovic could be a useful addition. It's important to note that 6 of the former Partizan striker's 21 goals came from the penalty spot, level with Cristiano Ronaldo, meaning his non-penalty XG per 90 was 0.46, 16th in Serie A, and the same as Leeds' Patrick Bamford. But considering he was playing for a poor Laviola side, who ranked 16th for possession and 18th for shots per game, Vlahovic's contribution is pretty impressive. Stylistically, Vlahovic is very different to Kane, with 72% of his shots coming from inside the area, compared to just over 50% for the Englishman. And given that Nuno's Wolves worked best with a physical focal point in Raul Jimenez, who took 67% of his shots from inside the area in 2019-20, Vlahovic will no doubt pique his interest. For his size, the Serb is pretty mobile. Despite only completing 12.9 pressures per game, average for a player in a low possession side, he wins back the ball within 5 seconds of pressing 27% of the time, 3% more than Raul Jimenez's best over the last 3 seasons. Having only ever scored 6 goals in 40 Serie A appearances prior to last campaign, Vlahovic would certainly present a risk, and given Inter Milan's interest, Fiorentina will likely be asking for around €60 million. But given the fact he is only 21, has plenty of room to develop, is currently paid just €32,000 per week, and will retain a sell-on value, Spurs could do a lot worse than securing Vlahovic. The expensive option. Whilst it would be easy to sit here and claim that in the event of Kane leaving, Spurs should target the likes of Mauro Icardi, Gabriel Jesus or Anthony Martial, with all three currently playing fairly important roles at major European clubs, it'll be difficult to persuade them to join a Kane-less Lily-White side. That's why our expensive suggestion is none other than Everton and England striker Dominic Calvert-Lewin. With 4 years remaining on his current contract and a market value of €47 million according to Transfermarkt, the former Sheffield United striker wouldn't come cheap, and with a billionaire owner in Farhad Moshiri, the Toffees have no need to sell. But we can't help thinking that the 24-year-old is exactly the sort of striker Nuno should be targeting. Although the 6'2" frontman took a while to establish himself on Merseyside, only scoring 11 goals in his first 78 Premier League games for the club, the arrival of Carlo Ancelotti at Goodison in December 2019 saw the youngster take his game to new levels. Under the tutelage of the Italian who saw him as the modern-day Inzaghi, DCL quickly became the main man, playing the full 90 in 16 of Ancelotti's first 19 Premier League games in 2019-20, having only done so twice in Marco Silva's 15 games in charge earlier that campaign. Across Ancelotti's tenure, Calvert-Lewin managed a very solid 0.6 goals per league game, form that has made him the current understudy to Harry Kane at international level, where he has 4 goals and 11 caps to date at an average of a strike every 71 minutes. Whilst Calvert-Lewin is very much a penalty box operator, only creating 0.5 chances per 90 and having just 9 assists to his name in 147 Premier League appearances at the time of writing, his output was superb last term, with Kane, Salah and Bamford the only players to top his 15.4 non-penalty expected goals in the division. With excellent anticipation and a brilliant leap, Calvert-Lewin has a knack of not just being in the right place but capitalising on his opportunities. His 0.19 non-penalty expected goals per shot in 2021 dwarfed Kane's 0.13 and was only topped by Cavani, Abraham and bizarrely Mbaye Diagne in the whole division, showing his ability to regularly get into great goal-scoring positions. Of course, it's impossible to talk about Calvert-Lewin and not mention his aerial ability, with his 53% aerial duel win rate only topped by Christian Benteke out of all Premier League strikers. For context, Cristiano Ronaldo, one of the most aerially dominant players of his generation, won just 47% of his battles in the air for Juve last term. Expected to play a little bit more direct this season under Nuno, with Liverpool the only side to top Wolves' 21 crosses per game last term, DCL's aerial prowess could be very handy indeed. And what's more, having lost Carlo Ancelotti this summer, Everton appear once again to be at something of a crossroads. Their net spend between 2016-17 and 2021 was an enormous €300 million, €53 million more than Spurs in the same period, and yet they have finished 8th, 8th, 12th and 10th in the last 4 seasons. Although Rafa Benitez is expected to do a very solid job, their summer business of Damari Gray, Andros Townsend and Asmir Begovic suggests European football will almost certainly be beyond them. Highly unlikely to sell Calvert-Lewin for anything less than €70 million, this might be a long shot, But with his mentor having returned to Real Madrid, and the club refusing to once again splash the cash, DCL might be keen to force a move. So guys, those were our 3 suggestions on who could replace Harry Kane. What did you guys think of them, and do you think any of them will actually happen? Let me know in the comments down below. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to smash that like button, it really helps us with the algorithm, and subscribe to EuroFootball Daily and click on screen for another great EFD video. And I'll catch you next time.